Here are my thoughts immediately following Sharks against Toulouse, the game that has just finished in Durban. A very different sort of picture there on the Indian Ocean coast than it is here in the East Midlands, where later I'll be watching and working on Leicester Tigers against Ulster. It's absolutely freezing to the point there's a big dome on the pitch, which is just being taken off now. So it's had hot air blowing so that it doesn't freeze over, because it is pretty frosty. It was the exact opposite of that. Well, there was moisture in the air, but it was a lot warmer than... Look, check this out. Check this. What bike? Unreal. So cold. Fair play to any fans that come out and brave this weather. But let's talk about the game that's just happened. I hyped it up so much. I'm going to find a spot in the dugout to sit down on. Oh, here we go. In the Leicester Tigers dugout. Yeah, I hyped that game up so much. I think it's fair to say it didn't really live up to it in lots of ways, although there's lots and lots of talking points that come out of it. So please give me your comments, your immediate reactions. These are just my thoughts immediately having watched the game. What's that bit of music? When I was down in South Africa, they were playing it all the time at the rugby. Sister Bettina, the cover of, or the sample of that Alia song. That's still playing in the stadium as I record this now. I've just ducked out. Lots of talking points. So the result, 20 points to 8 to Toulouse. Just the 2 tries. That means Toulouse do not get the full 5 points. They get the win, however, which is no mean feat when you're playing against a box-loaded Sharks. Not all the box that we would have liked to have seen in the game, obviously, and that was influential in the result. But just the 4 points, which puts Bordeaux, who face the Sharks at home next week, that puts them in the box seat to top the pool and get the highest seeding, which means I think the highest seeding that Toulouse would be able to get, despite probably winning all their games, assuming they win next week, winning all their games and scoring a bag full of points, they could only get the at highest 5th seed, which will mean in the quarter-finals, quite possibly, they end up playing away from home, which is a massive blow. I mean, when you look at this pool, sorry, I'll just show you what's going on behind me because it's quite interesting. You don't get to see this normally. I didn't even know they did this. They're just pulling the covers off. Yeah, when you look at this pool, the 2 best teams are Bordeaux and Toulouse. But of course, the structure and the format of the Champions Cup means that that's the one game we don't get to see. And 2 teams can win all their matches, and one of them can be away from home in a quarter-final. But there could be other pools where the team that finished top only win 3 of their games, and they could end up facing Toulouse at home. One of the issues, there are some issues with the format of this competition. I guess you could argue another issue with the format is that the Sharks, despite only having 1 win to their name, and it's very unlikely they'll take a full-strength team to Bordeaux, and it's very unlikely, even if they did, that they'd get a win in Bordeaux next week. There's a fair chance they qualify with just the win they have already. That depends on how the game goes here. If Leicester Tigers win this one, then yeah, they could qualify with just the 1 win. So I'm going to get out of the way. These guys doing their work. Pitch is looking in good nick. It looks all right. The game's going to be played. That's the main thing. Yeah. So, yeah, there's lots to talk about there. I think that's a conversation for another day. Let's talk about this game. I've already talked about Sister Bettina being played. The DJ earned his corn playing the tunes, didn't he? He was more hyped for the game than I was. But overall, the game didn't quite live up to the hype. Lots of good attacking play, but not a lot of clinical finishing. The humidity clearly had an impact. You could see the first half was like they described it in commentary as a war zone. The number of players going down injured. The number of times that you wondered whether people were taking a knee to have a tactical break. Over 30 degrees and 80% humidity. It was oppressive conditions, and especially when you're coming for the French players, when they were coming out of Europe, where it's not quite like that. In fact, I need to change my hand because my hands are so cold. It's actually hurting. Hold on. Oh. Whew. There we go. It's going to be a fresh one tonight. Yeah, so lots and lots of stoppages. Luke Pearce, the referee, was trying to sort of get a hurry on with the game because there were so many stoppages. Toulouse were not as clinical as they normally are. They had lots and lots of line breaks, but just the 2 tries, didn't actually finish. Loads and loads of handling errors. But on the flip side, you've got to credit Sharks' scramble defence. They didn't give up, and they weren't as much second best in this fixture than I expected them to be. Just a few thoughts on some players. The Toulouse scrum half, young lad, the number 9, he looks like he might have a future. He looks quite handy, don't you think? Antoine Dupont was quite good. Lots of line breaks. I mean, there was that one, he made an amazing line break. It was the one where Roman Ntamak should probably have canted in, and you wonder whether a Roman Ntamak before his ACL injury would have actually scored that try. But a great scramble defence to keep him out. And Thomas Ramos was really good. Blair Kinghorn was very good. Emmanuel Meafou was the player of the match, scored the first try. There were lots of really good individual performances, and Toulouse just casually having international superstars on their bench is, I mean, the whole team is a cheat code, isn't it? Jacques Willis is quite good at rugby as well. But it's just a little bit ironic, I guess, in a way, that that first half match between South Africa and France at the Rugby World Cup, the greatest half of rugby I've ever watched. Maybe the greatest game I've ever seen. And by contrast, I was so hyped, partly because of that game in Paris 18 months ago, or however many months it was ago. For that reason, I was so hyped for this game, and unfortunately, this game with the handling errors, with the conditions, didn't quite live up to it in the same way. But that said, there was lots of good stuff. Meafou is really good. Malvaca, I like the intent of both teams. I actually thought the Sharks possibly played a little bit too much, because they seemed to have a bit more success when they went to the air, which is a weakness for France as a national team, as Rassi Erasmus exposed at the Rugby World Cup. They used that aerial bombardment brilliantly to win. Did you hear the way I said the word bombardment then? It's getting so cold I'm struggling to have control of my lips. It's one of them. Yeah, I thought the Sharks had really good success with Penke. How do you pronounce that? Penka? Anyway, the wingers, him and Mapimpi, looked really, really good, chasing high balls, and Jordan Hendricks was playing quite well. And French teams do have a bit of a weakness in aerial play. I think that's why they put Blair Kinghorn on the wing, who was very good again. I credit the fact the Sharks tried to play ball and go for tries again, but 3 points was all they got from that first half. 13-3 with a penalty for Toulouse just before half-time. Only the one try. Slightly strange first half. But I thought, honestly, second half, Toulouse are going to bust this open with the international superstars they've got on the bench. Bear with me a second. Oh, so fresh. Woo. So second half. Oh, actually, before I go any further, I completely forgot to mention, didn't I? Mehdi Nargisi, the young lad in the French under 18s or under 20s, who lost his life in South Africa. I love the fact that the Toulouse team, before they went to Durban, they landed in Cape Town, and then they went to pay tribute to Mehdi Nargisi in South Africa, which I just thought was such a lovely touch, and says everything about the kind of sport that rugby is. And so fair play to them. Also fair play to Luke Pearce for speaking bilingually in French, even when he's talking to Jack Willis. He still spoke in French, which I really like that. Fair play to the Sharks for 36,000 fans and turning out in those conditions and trying to make an occasion of it. As I've said, fair play to both teams for having a crack. Ramos for that 50-22 in the build-up to that Meafou try. That was a warning sign as well, that the power game that Toulouse can bring. And then, I've already talked about that. The Ntamak, what should have been a score. And then, that was the pattern really for the game. Amazing skills, line breaks, and Antoine Dupont making a bunch of them, but not clinical finishing from Toulouse. Just the second try, although that second try for them was insane. Thomas Ramos with the no-look lift You're right, that's fine, you carry on. If you need me out the way, if you need me out the way.
No, I saw you. I didn't
Yeah, right.
recognise you with your hat on. You're
How you doing, mate? Yeah, good.
What are you doing?
I'm just doing a little thing for my YouTube channel. Nice one, you're on it. It's the Leicester media guy. He organises Michael Checker and the other players and organises interviews and all the rest of it. Yeah, anyway, where was I? Yes, the try. The no-look lift from Tomas Ramos to Blair Kinghorn. Insane skills. The other highlight moment in the second half was the Lorenzo Julius try. I've been talking about him on the channel, what a talent he looks like. And I mean, firstly, the boom, Bosch, and then offload, and then his step and gas. He started the move and then he finished it with some electric skills and speed. Looked absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I think I've kind of summed it up. I guess the most consequential part of that match was the fact that Toulouse will more than likely finish second in their group, and they were in that battle with Bordeaux. And for the rights and wrongs of the format, that could be very, very significant. It could mean you end up even. Everyone's been talking about this being Leinster v Toulouse. It could mean that Leinster and Toulouse face each other before a final, semi-final, outside chance, potentially a quarter-final. We'll wait and see. There's a lot of rugby still to be played. We are only halfway through round 3 of games, and I'm going to go and get ready to do my job working on this game at Welford Road. Thank you very much for your support on the channel. I appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. Oh, I nearly slipped then. Fair play to the players and the fans, as I say, turning out for this one. Leave your comments down below. I'm going to go and get a cup of tea and warm up. I'll see you on the next one.